have the pre-planned questions there. I watched a little blurb about Kissinger and found out when he came to Canada that the guy who manages Kissinger, and they're all managed too, had a suggested set of questions that they could ask Kissinger, and anything not on that list would simply not be answered, or they can walk off the set. There's nothing spontaneous on television. Everything is produced as fake. It's fake. It's an essential arm of controlling your mind. Always has been. But in the movie Network, as he has these convulsive fits and then comes out with these messianic announcements in a comical fashion, he says a lot of truth, and eventually he's called up to see one of the big boys, one of the big guys who run the system, who runs it, and the guy tells him, he says that there is no America. He says everything's just one vast corporation, an association of corporations. There's no Britain, there's no America, there's no Holland, there's no China, there's no Russia. It's just one conglomerate group of corporations. Money runs the thing. And that was true. That is true, because that's how it is. The economy, everything beginning with E in our language, is of prime importance. Prime importance is at the top. And that's well worth a look at the Network and what they disclose there to a public that just chew bubblegum and pop their popcorn and get downloaded and yet can't even remember what they see or do. The second movie is pretty famous in some circles. It's called They Live, done in 1988, where it does show you the system, again in allegorical type form. They do it blatantly and show you the sort of mind control techniques of advertising, the types of people who live amongst you, who look like you but they're not you at all. And in the real world, you'll find that in Freemasonry, because there is a definite feedback from along through Masonry of information to do with the public and places they live in. They collect data on everyone. And the Eastern Star is famous for that. They collect data. And I do know someone who's confronted a high-ranking member of the Eastern Star, and she did admit that. And I do know that in a place I used to live, the Grand Master of the local lodge there were around all these elderly women who were Eastern Star members, and he collected the data, the what's what on everybody, the gossip. So it's well worth a look at how They Live done in allegorical form. They have the alien twist in it, of course, which is highly popularized by the authorized guys in some countries. I was asked to do a documentary by one of these well-known guys, but then when he found out I wouldn't push the alien agenda, that's the last I heard from him. He phoned me, by the way. Third movie is the original Wicker Man, made in 1974. Very revealing movie on the religion that runs the world, with an outward form of nature worship, but also with an elite group at the top who play with people, and that's a very key part of it. They play with people as though they were bored. They know how we think. And in The Wicker Man, a policeman is sent from his little area in Scotland to an island off the west coast of Scotland, supposedly, to investigate a missing girl. And he's been actually lured there. And the whole movie is about how he's played with and how he comes across clues that are left out for him to pick up, knowing with each clue how his mind will work to the next part and the next part and the next part, to the very end, where he has become the willing fool for the sacrifice. he was a king's representative, so he was important. He came willingly, very important too. He was a virgin, very unique these days. But what was kind of funny to me was to see how they put a policeman there. Now, most policemen are pretty well Freemasons because it's almost mandatory to become a Freemason when you join the police force, the fraternity, the brotherhood of the police. And anyone who's visited policemen's homes will see their photograph of the person with their police cadet uniform on at graduation, and next to it is the Masonic one with their gloves and all the rest of it, because they must swear allegiance first to each other before they swear allegiance to serve you. They don't serve you, they serve the elite who employ them, protect and serve. But in the Wicker Man, he has the policeman has the proper British type and the British Commonwealth country type hat on, and round the hat's a band of black and white squares. It's a chessboard, it's a tesserated floor of Freemasonry as well. It's the two opposites. It's also the heaven and hell. They have the right to use the black force when necessary. And that's why they stand up for each other as well, and often change their little books and their stories to justify what they're doing. So that was the only part that didn't make sense, of course, but it takes someone to understand that, to see that. But well worth to look at is The Wicker Man. The original one, made in 1974. I believe there's a later one out which is going right off the wall, where there's some sort of monster involved. Another movie to see, which I didn't know was even out there, came out in 2003. Not publicized, just like The Wicker Man, was a movie called Control Factor. Excellent movie, which has a lot of fact in there to do with mind control, using microwave frequencies and the little microwave towers all around cities to control the minds of the public, but also a specialized secretive group of scientists with full authority using advanced types of weaponry who go in and chip the brains of certain individuals within the cities. They actually use in the Control Factor real data that's been disclosed to the public from books such as Zbigniew Brzezinski, Between Two Ages in the Technotronic Era, and they use the terms technotronic, etc. And everything in that movie can be done today. Actually, it's old stuff. Whatever is disclosed to the public is actually obsolete in a sense. They're so far beyond because there are 3 levels of science. And from professorship down, that's all the public domain. That's the lowest level. The CIA on the higher levels, compartmentalized levels, the higher levels, they have equipment which is beyond science fiction. And then it's a higher level above that for the real controllers, because you never share ultimate power with the rest who help you. So Control Factor 2003 has even been shown across European countries, and as I say, I never heard of it here till someone in Belgium brought it to my attention. Well worth seeing. Another one to look at is from Germany, but it's available in the stores over here for rent, made in 2002, and it's called The Experiment, with English subtitles. Excellent movie on a topic I've mentioned before, how people become what they work at, like Mr. Postman and Mr. Policeman and Mr. Soldier and this kind of thing. But the experiment, and these experiments have been done many times over, I'm sure. It takes place in a mock prison, and a whole group of people come in. I think there's 20 of them. 10 are dressed up as the prison wardens, 10 as the prisoners, and in a short space of time, the control freaks